women with an incredible college career.
These players are better, younger than ever before.
She got it! The GOAT delivers again!
The league is hot. The product on the court is better than it's ever been.
We will be a voice for the voiceless.
This season has come
You're watching Swish Inside the WNBA. I'm Savanna Hamilton, and today is our season finale. So we lined up an incredible panel of guests for you. We're going to be talking about everything from MVP race to WNBA finals, and of course, we can't have a Swish episode without a little bit of style points. So let's get to it. Starting with Marlo Davis, who is the U18 coach for Team Canada basketball, as well as the director of Crestwood Prep basketball. Coach, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me and joining these lovely guests with me as well.
Let's go. Okay, right next to him, we got Nirra Fields, a 3-time Olympian. And Nirra, you're one of my personal favorite players. I grew up watching, so it's a pleasure to have you on the panel.
Thank you for having me.
And then, of course, we got Crina Mustafa, who is a writer, a podcaster. You were covering Team Canada over the summer, and now you're with Her Hoop Stats. Just doing your thing, girl. I love it. Are you ready to talk some hoops?
Very ready, Sav.
Guys, we've seen tons of action in the WNBA. Coach, I'm going to start with you. What's the impact that you have seen from both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese this season?
I think those two really started to make it very popular for young kids in particular to know that it's okay to be competitive, it's okay to have a storyline and have a narrative, because we always hear about it with the NBA. So this year I thought for the women's game, having a storyline that would draw the common fan, I thought those two women did a really good job of moving the needle and bringing people to the games. I know the attendance has gone through the roof, and I think that's kind of something that we all been waiting for. So them doing that, I think, is just gonna catapult the next wave of young athletes coming out in the next couple of years to keep doing the same.
Nirra, what stands out to you?
I mean, both are very attractive in terms of bringing like the entertainment. I feel like one of them is more personality, which is Angel Reese. She leverages social media. People are entertained by her personality, so she brings that part of the game. And then you also have Caitlin Clark, who's highly skilled. People just want to see her like hoop on the court, and that's what her part is in bringing more entertainment to this game.
Yeah, I think that like even with all this attention that they've brought, just watching them like replicate that on the court too. Like we talked about how comfortable rookies are going to be coming into the league, but it feels like they've just gotten so comfortable on the court. Like both of them are breaking their own records, and I think like backing that up with the attention that they've brought has been really cool to see.
I love it. Now, honestly, like, I think the fact that, like, as you mentioned, Coach, as well, like the narratives that have kind of perpetuated both, I'd say some of them toxic, some of them healthy for the game, but either way, it got people talking. And I think that's why we saw the sellouts. Like, I've said it before, but I feel like the league just needed storylines. They've always had the talent, so that wasn't about it. And then now star power. All right, Coach, just going back to you, who surprised you this season?
Truthfully, I don't want to say Caitlin Clark surprised me, but I'm more so impressed. I think her ability to get acclimated to the WNBA has been nothing short of phenomenal. Obviously, for women versus men, they have a couple years and the months to get ready, where the women, they get drafted and 2 weeks later, they got to go. So I think she really took advantage of the Olympic break as well. So you can see how her team and her coaching staff prepared her for everything that she was going through in the early part, and now she's definitely found her footing. So I want to say she's more so impressed me more than anything. Her ability to just continue to get better so fast in the league as a rookie is nothing short of phenomenal.
I'm biased on this answer. I'm going to say BC for the Carlton. I mean, her performance in the Commissioner Championship game was phenomenal, and I've had the honor to play with her and see her like live in person. So for me, she surprised me a lot.
Yeah, and she's doing great with the Minnesota Lynx right now. Just in general, they're in a great position. We will get to them in just a minute, so you can expand on that in just a bit. Crina?
Honestly, I'm going to go with someone that maybe is a little bit under the radar, and that's Leonie Fiebich on the New York Liberty.
Let's go.
I think she's up for 6th Player of the Year. She's just brought such a good depth piece to their roster that is contending for a championship, and was kind of missing that depth last year when they lost in WNBA finals to the Aces. And so I just think she's brought a whole level of scoring, just like togetherness on the court, that is going to make New York pretty dangerous heading into the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, okay, I could see that. I'm surprised that, I have a few names that kind of pop into my head. One of them being, it's weird because she's already on the radar, but I feel like she hasn't been talked about enough, and that's Kelsey Mitchell, who plays, of course, right next to Caitlin Clark. I think she's a huge reason for Indiana Fever's like success as a whole. They're even Becky Hammond said it, like a three-headed beast or monster, whatever you want to call it. Let's go into MVP talks. So I'm gonna switch it up this time. Nirra, I'm gonna give you the field. Who is your MVP for this season?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's A'ja Wilson.
I was gonna say, and why is it A'ja Wilson?
I mean, the numbers speak. The numbers speak. It's simple. Like, her numbers are phenomenal. She's averaging almost 30, 12, and 3 a game. Like, you can't beat that. Every game, she's just proving why she should be MVP.
Yeah, I mean, she just hit 1,000 points in a season, like created a record in WNBA history. Like, she is playing the best basketball of her life, and I feel like we could say that about her the last, like, however many seasons. So it's just been truly special to watch. It's kind of like, you know, we weren't really around for like the Maya Moore generation or just like these past players, and like to watch someone like A'ja Wilson, who is so very clearly in her prime and is going to be one of the greatest of all time. You got to go with her. I will play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give me your alternate name.
If I had to go with like a second place vote, I'd go with Nafisa Collier on the Minnesota Lynx. To me, Fee is MVP right now is what I like to call her. Yeah. I just think that like she is such a unique player. Like, she does so much outside of her own role itself, and it's just been building with Minnesota for so long. She took over, you know, since the Maya Moore, the Sylvia Fowles era, and like has really grown into the player that she needs to be. She's a phenomenal scorer, and I think I'd have her as my second place vote right now behind A'ja.
Okay.
Definitely can see that, but I would definitely go with A'ja as well. For me, coaching at the high school level, I think the things that make A'ja special oftentimes go unnoticed, I guess, because of obviously her performance on the floor. But when I watch, it looks like her teammates genuinely enjoy playing with her. And I think the culture that's set there from the coaching staff, but obviously through her as their leader, is what separates her from the average superstar, because she has the ability to challenge her teammates like we've seen her do in the media, but she also holds herself accountable and holds herself to those standards as well. And that, I think, is what truly makes her MVP. So when she might not be having the best game, she has the ability to either, you know, lean on her teammates to step it up, but at the same time, she's comfortable, I'm assuming, with them challenging her to be the MVP that they need her to be successful. So definitely she is the MVP of the league, but I think it goes more than just the statistics and the performance, but the intangible things that she provides her team with.
It's probably unanimous at this point. Like,
definitely.
Also to like all of your points as well with A'ja Wilson. I was just doing my own research, because you know that the WNBA expanded their regular season games to 40. I believe it was like last year they introduced it, but before that was 36. Well, A'ja broke the scoring record within 36 games. So any old heads, they're gonna be like, well, you had an extra, nah, she did it clean. And then it was just this recent game that she hit that 1,000 mark.
Okay.
So I think that's what speaks also more to like her testimony as a player as well. So I think that's super cool. All right, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the playoffs. Playoff picture is pretty interesting. We got some top teams up there. Liberty clinched like super fast. Like, they're like on a roll. They're steamrolling. We talked with the Lynx. We're going back to those Lynx talks now. Who do you guys have, you know, in the finals?
Listen, I think I'm going to go New York Liberty versus Minnesota Lynx. And the reason I say that is because as the standings are constructed right now, New York and Las Vegas would face off in the semifinals. So they wouldn't be able to do that finals rematch. And I just think right now, New York has been a better team this season. Las Vegas has struggled with injuries. Chelsea Gray is not really looking like the Chelsea Gray that we know. That being said, I never really want to bet against the Aces. As they proved lots of people are wrong in the past. But yeah, I think New York's in a good place right now. And they struggle against Minnesota too. Like, they just lost to them most recently this week. So I think that's a good chance that will be a finals match.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. I mean, I want New York to be in it, and I also want the Minnesota Lynx to be in it, just because I want that rematch, and I know they can beat them already. But also, like, I played with BC, so I'm super biased on this. But I do want to see her succeed, get a championship for a Canadian. So to have that rematch, if possible, it would be amazing.
What stands out to you about their style of play for the Minnesota Lynx that makes you feel so strongly?
Honestly, they generally like each other off the court, which is like rare on
chemistry.
But you see it on the court, but it's really like profound when she talks about it. Like, her teammates, she's really there for her teammates.
Yeah.
Like, just being with her off court and her talking about her WNBA season, like, she's like, yo, we're all super tight. Like, we love playing with each other. We love the game, and like, you can see it on the court each and every time they play together. So that's why I feel like they deserve it.
I want the Aces to win. I think A'ja Wilson has done so much for the game, and I want to just see her legacy and her story just continue to grow. And obviously, the winning piece of it, I think, is amazing. But her breaking the individual records are great. And I'm gonna go left field right now, but I feel like Caitlin Clark and that group, there's something special happening there that we could see like a Cinderella type of situation. And I think that would be amazing for the league. And that's going to be my pick.
That would be crazy.
I know, that's the pick.
You're manifesting something right now.
I'm trying.
Listen, I'm going to hit you up. If that
If it happens,
I'm going to hit you up.
Listen, I'm celebrating like Toronto won.
It's rigged. I'm saying it's rigged if it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to buy a lottery ticket.
Call it right now, Kathy. That's great. No, I mean, I feel like, so earlier this season, I said Minnesota is my dark horse of the season, and now it's seeming like the popular answer, so now I gotta change up my dark horse, so I gotta revisit that one. But I do see for sure the Liberty, they're just like so dominant this season. I wouldn't doubt if the Sun get in there, but if I'm being true to myself, I do have the Lynx in the finals as well. And a part of that reason, and this is something that also ESPN brought up, is because anytime the Lynx have won 26 games or more in a single season, they've gone to the finals. So it's hard to bet against them. Stats, I like numbers, but it's also like the Vegas Aces though. Like,
Like playoff time, I think A'ja goes into a different mode and finds another gear, and she rallies the troops behind her. So I think, like you said, we can't really bet against that, and it's proven. And I do think, I don't know her personally, obviously, but I think with the notoriety and the storylines of the Caitlins and Angel, I think there's a little chip on the shoulder of the Aces of like, hey guys, like let's not forget, like we've been doing this for a while. So kudos to the rookies, and they're doing a great job. But back to regular scheduled program for us.
we just covered WNBA playoffs. Let's switch gears now to the NCAA college season, looking at who could even declare for the draft, or just in general, like who are you looking forward to watching in this upcoming NCAA season? Coach, I could kick it off with you.
I'm going to be a little biased, but I'm super excited to see Cheyenne Day-Wilson at LSU this year, going into her senior year. I think she's been to a couple schools and had great experiences there. So now I think for her as a senior, just putting it all together and doing what she does, and she's a winner. I think that's kind of the thing that separates her from a lot of players, is that she's very talented, but when it's time to go, her focus is winning, and whatever that looks like for her and whatever her team needs, she's going to leave it out there. And I think LSU is going to have a little chip on their shoulder, obviously, with the success they've had the last couple of years. So I see both her as an individual, but them as a program having something to prove, and why not now?
Yellow tape shy, oh. We've had her on Swish before too. She's nice with it. ACC, I believe it was,
Freshman of the year.
Freshman of the year. Okay, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. You?
Personally, for me, I'm going to go Kiki from USC. I mean, she's playing with Juju. She's an amazing talent. She had a standout year at Stanford. She's super athletic, super dynamic. She reminds me a little bit of A'ja. So, like, her going into the draft after this year, I feel like she can give A'ja a run for her money.
This girl took my answer. I was gonna go Kiki. I echo everything she said, but obviously also looking at Paige Beckers.
I was just gonna say someone better be bringing
It's interesting because you look at Paige and Kiki. I feel like they could interchange for the number 1 and 2 pick next year for the draft. I think they're that like on the same level of like talent, depending on which teams are going to be drafting them too. But yeah, Paige last year at UConn. How far can they go? I think that's the question that remains, right? In her era with staying healthy. AZ Fudd's going to be back with her too, playing healthy. So I'm just excited to see her ball out. I mean, she's just such a fun player to watch.
So definitely, like in terms of draft class, like I think Paige is who I'm looking at the most. But in terms of just overall, who I'm so excited to see, like just not even just like this upcoming year, but like future years, is Juju Watkins. USC as well, as you mentioned with Kiki. I think she's sick. She has like an outside game, but she's a big guard. Like she can get inside. She reminds me a little bit, and maybe this is a stretch, but give her a little time to marinate. Could be a bit of a Maya Moore type.
She already plays like a pro. Like, it's so wild to watch.
Facts. Something that happens off the court that I feel like we've seen an explosion, like literally now more than ever, and even talking to a lot of WNBA players, like they've talked about this with me in terms of they have their own stylists. And we have a segment on this show, one of my favorite, called Style Points. I feel like we got some good game on with the sneakers today, so I feel like we're all qualified to talk about this. Who is your style points MVP this season if you're to give it to one player?
For me, it's Nika Mule. I think she's absolutely brought it this season. She's used different glasses to accessorize. She's just going for that cool girl look. And I think also what adds to her like different fits is that she knows how to pose for the camera. Like every time I see the Seattle Storm post pictures of her, she just like has that like model, you know, like smolder. She knows exactly what she's doing. She pulls every look off. So for me, she's been my fashion MVP this season.
Okay, the rookie, okay.
I would go with Tiffany Hayes. To me, her style game is crazy. Like, it's super cozy. It's like a subtle, like flashy. She's like, I know I look good, but it's not too flashy. When she takes her poses, it's like super candid. It's like, okay, that's a nice fit. It's creative. So for me, she's my style MVP.
Okay.
Similar. I would go with Skylar Diggins. Her range is what's most impressive to me. I think there's times when you see her in something very sporty, but then it might be something very baggy, something from the 90s, a retro look. I mean, I don't even know if it's a thrift shop vibe or what, but it's at the same time very, very Toronto to me sometimes, you know, a Queen Street type look. So I definitely appreciate that when I see that with her. And her poses are very candid in the sense that you can take all the pictures you want. I'm here to just come win a basketball game, and you know, when it's time to get fly, I'll put some into it.
Okay, yeah, okay, that Queen Street West vibe.
Yes, Queen Street West, yes.
Street West vibe, okay, I feel you. If I was to go give my style points MVP, there's so many names that are flowing in my head for this one, but I'm gonna give it to Rickea Jackson. She gives me Bratz Barbie doll, and I love it. Her style is super fly from draft day to now. She just comes ready with the fits, and then she's like very glamorous. I feel like it's more like what she wears, I would actually try to wear. I say try. But I just love how like the WNBA in total is expanding their range of outfits and just being more comfortable with like, you know, showing, it's like that self-expression, I should say, that self-expression. I feel like it's more prominent now than ever before. Okay guys, 2026, Toronto is getting a WNBA team. I did the math, it's only about a year and a half away until tip off. That being said, we gotta talk about the names, the colorways, and all the things. Crina, I'll start with you.
Listen, this whole process has made me realize just how hard it is to come up with a name and colorway that like fits and represents a team well. I feel like Toronto Ice could be good, or like even going back to like the Huskies. I kind of like the blue colorway. If they could work it in a way that's like different from like the Chicago Sky or the Minnesota Lynx, I feel like that could be cool. I know some people have like compared it to like the Raptors and having a similar name, but I feel like if you go that route, you have to do it right. Like it can't be too attached to the NBA counterpart.
No.
I'm gonna keep it biased. I play for Canada basketball, so we're red, we're black, and we're white, but I would put some gold in there, make it super clean, and then I would call them the Toronto Towers just to make it symbolic of the CN Tower.
Okay, I have heard the Toronto Towers before. That's been a bit of a popular one. And there's some like information graphics about like a lot of people actually were leaning towards doing an ode to the city in terms of landscape. So I could see that. The gold, you got me with the gold. You know, and I'm like, talk to me nice, you know? Like, yeah, okay, go ahead, coach.
I thought of just the Toronto Blues, just because I feel like some of our historic teams, like the Blue Jays and like the Maple Leafs, and just the blue has always been synonymous with Canada winning. Obviously the Raptors did it as well, but I kind of felt like the blue gave it a little more of a historic feel to kind of the city. So I would definitely go with that, but I really like the Towers. So I'm gonna steal that idea moving forward. I will give you credit, but I think that might be the one, because it's very symbolic of the city. And I think when other people that aren't from Toronto think about Toronto, that is what they think about. So I think that's an amazing idea.
Yeah, every single day, Toronto gets a new skyscraper that cuts off another person's view. So it's very symbolic. I guess like for my name, and I'll give a huge shout out to Fiorella Granda, because she came up with it. It was on her Instagram feed. Toronto Diamonds. That's what I see. I think, like diamonds are forever, as tough as a diamond, or like diamonds cut or whatever. Like, I think it's such a cool name. It's not really in sports, like period. I think it has still a little bit of that femininity to it, but it's still neutral. So, and then you could I say it, you already know what the colorway looks like. Like you already know, like it's gonna be a little bit of blue, a little bit of like that silvery white tone, and then like maybe like a little bit of pink on the side or something like that. You know, that like shimmery thing. So I'm sold on that one. I saw it and I was like, that's it. That has to be it. That's it for me at least. I'm as much as I like the Huskies and the blue and stuff like that, the ode, I'm like, let's do something completely different. Let's be original. All right, so in 2025, there's a new team entering the WNBA, the Valkyries. Coach, when you think about the challenges that come with bringing a new franchise to a league that's still growing, even though they had a great season this year, they're still growing. What comes with that?
I think one of the toughest challenges might be for the league as a whole is probably just scheduling. Obviously, the West Coast and East Coast, making sure that the balance is there, the travel time, things that we as fans don't really consider. But overall, I think because, Golden State is such a well-ran organization that I think the transition for them will be pretty smooth. And I think obviously them being in 25 and us in 26, I think that helps us because as Canada and whichever the name we end up with, we can kind of sit back and have a year to kind of see what they experience, whether it be good, bad, etc. So now when it's our turn to kind of step into that space, we're probably starting at, a couple steps ahead from just learning from their mistakes or their successes in their expansion year.
For me, it would be like the fan base. They don't have an established fan base, so building that up over years is going to take time. Every other team has had the ability to have that over the years and build their established fan base. So basically, the way that they can make sure that issue is going to be solved is to really get a player in the league or actually from their draft that has an established fan base that can help, one, secure the fan base and increase it so that way it takes less time to build their fan base over time.
Yeah, I think when you look at previous expansion teams that have kind of quote unquote failed, it's always been that financial area that's been the problem, not sustainable, where I think Golden State has actually fixed that problem. I think they just broke the record for how many season ticket holders they've gotten. They just passed 17,000. I don't know what the number was, but they're already creating a fan base with the amount of people that want to go to these games and want to watch it. And we talk about attendance this season, and it seems like they're getting ahead of that with that. And so I think that's going to be the key for them to just kind of get a good footing. And then when the players are drafted and they build their team, everything is just going to follow through.
Yeah, I think the success of the Warriors in the last maybe, let's say 10 years, I think the fan base of just sports in general in the Bay Area has been so great. And I think that their program or their team, might inherit a bit of that. So everybody's going to want to see them do well. And, Steph is getting later in his career. So to see both kind of have their own narratives as to why you want to see both teams succeed, I think is something special for them in their basketball community.
And I know it's not exactly the Monarchs, but there is a little bit of history, in that area. So I feel there's some things there for a good base.
I feel like one of their biggest challenges will be keeping momentum after the inaugural season. It's easy to get excited when there's something new, fresh, shiny, but can you keep that momentum? Can you maintain it? All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on the season finale of SWISH. It was great to pick all of your minds. We'll see if the Indiana Fever actually make the finals. That's crazy. If that happens.
It's gonna happen. I'm putting it in the universe now. I'm believing it.
All right, I'm buying a lottery ticket with you. Right. But otherwise, we'll see if the Minnesota Lynx can go all the way and face the Liberty. And to everybody at home, this has been a blast of a season. So much content about the W, so much growing storylines. Thank you for taking the time to tune into SWISH. I'm Savanna Hamilton, and as always, be great.